Okay, you guys, I was so excited to create this solo cast and share this story with you because I literally couldn't wait. I'm nerding out over here so hard. If you know me, if you're new here, welcome aboard, and you're about to experience Erin Bradley, bold, radiant, and unfiltered. But if you've been following the podcast for a while, or you know me personally, you know that I am obsessed with seeing results and transformation. And it's the thing that it feels honestly like it's my divine assignment. I feel so energized when I'm working with someone who is in that state, that season we've all been in when we feel stuck, right? And we talk about this on the calls. Like my friend Michelle Sayward said it one time, I think, on one of our calls about how, if you've ever climbed a mountain, which I live in the mountains of Colorado, so I have, there's times where you reach these little valleys. And in life, we would refer to those as, the valley of despair, the valley of darkness, the time when it seems like things were going well for a while. And then all of a sudden, here we are back in the valley of despair. And the thing to remember when you find yourself there is that you're still at a higher elevation than you were when you started. And a lot of the women that I work with inside my community, they come to me with plenty of experience and they've achieved success in their business. And, we use the word success loosely because what we hear when we hear the word success is money. And I shared this on a recent podcast as well. We hear the word success, we hear money, right? But there's many of us that have earned high levels of income and still lacked fulfillment, peace, joy, clarity, energy, all these things, right? And this is the case, this is the human experience. So sometimes it feels like we've been mooring a ship to port, paddling so hard, so much effort, so much work. And we get to the destination and it's like, am I even on the right island? Right. So that's where I often meet my clients is that they're often experienced, they've had their highs and lows, and maybe they're questioning what's next or where do we go from here. And so as I've shared on recent podcast episodes, I have several different ways in which I support people. But in terms of the community options, there's a very easy access community called the Academy, which is only $49 a month. Like it's $49. Just try it out for a month. If you don't like it, no problem. There's no contract, no commitment, right? Or you can save a little money and do a one-time payment for 12 months of $490. And then we have the collective, and the collective is really designed for those realtors and lenders who have hit the six-figure mark and they've experienced the burnout. They've gotten that bottleneck, the plateau. They can't seem to make it past a certain income level, and they don't know why. And it's always because there's some lacking systems and support. And we focus heavily on that inside the community. It's like when and how and where do you hire? How do you find talent? How do you screen for talent? How do you find the time to hire and then train and onboard and support them? And sometimes it just feels so overwhelming. It's just easier to do it ourselves. And a lot of people get stuck there for a while, maybe years, maybe decades. Like, no, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'll do it myself. But eventually you run out of steam. And inside the collective, that's really where we are unpacking is what do we need to eliminate to create space for you to expand without the fear of burnout. And as I mentioned, it's designed for those who have hit the six-figure mark, 150, 200, 250. Some have even earned more than that, and they're just crumbling under the weight of the success of their business. And I really wanted to help more people that maybe aren't there yet, but they want to be. So we opened the academy, and there's a number of amazing people that have joined the academy because they just, they'd rather start at the $49 a month instead of the $490 a month. Anyway, this week was just so extraordinary. So we had our academy call yesterday. The academy calls that happen every first and third Wednesday of the month at noon Mountain Time. And there's a member who joined after I met her. Gosh, I think it was in November. So it's been I guess, less than 3 months. And it's to no surprise because there is a rule of thumb that I have seen time and again that from consistent activity to results takes about 90 days. And what I mean by that is once you start focusing your energy and your attention on connecting with your community, being of value, paying attention to how many conversations you have on a weekly basis, looking for reasons to be of value to people even when they don't need your services, all of a sudden it seems like it comes from out of the blue, but there's a pop. There's a pop in new opportunities, referrals, leads, etc., right? But just because you get a lead doesn't mean there's a paycheck in the bank tomorrow. So it usually takes about 90 days between getting a new referral and having some closings. And the thing that's interesting about that is that we're afraid to invest in ourselves. And it's like, okay, so if I was going to join a community for $49 a month, that means I'm essentially spending $150 over 3 months. If it got me one more closing, is it costing me 150 or is it costing me the difference not to? Same with the collective. We meet twice a week, every Tuesday, Thursday. It's like, okay, if I spend $490 a month or essentially less than $1,500 over 3 months to see a transformation in my business and exponential growth, is it really costing me 1,500 or is it costing me the thousands that I would not have in those extra closings? And so, from a mathematical perspective, we often look at things the wrong way. We look at the cost of something instead of looking at it as an investment. So anyhow, one of the gals in the community, she jumped in a couple months ago, and yesterday we're on a call, and she proceeds to tell everybody that she has a buyer under contract, a listing under contract, a listing going live this afternoon, an active listing that has 3 offers in that she has to review, and a new listing appointment later in the day. Literally 5 transactions. And we were all talking about, first of all, let's just stop right there and say, wow, wow. Okay, so that's possible. Because it's happening, it's possible. Meaning if it happened for her, it can happen for anyone. And here's the interesting thing about 90 days from consistent activity to results. If you go back to episode number 302, which was a solo cast that I did, I was talking a lot about this idea of the importance of your energy as it relates to the execution of the action plan. It's not just, hey, I've got a problem to solve, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Because even from that right there, you can feel the energy is resistant energy. It's like, ugh, look at this problem I have. I'm so ashamed of myself. How did I get here? My pipeline's dried up. My credit cards are piling up. Like, I've got problems, right? So tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I'm just going to power through. But I'm starting from a low place and I'm exhausted and I'm embarrassed sometimes, right? And I've been there. Everybody's been there. What we try to do instead is find access to the control switch of the dimmer of the light within you, because we talk a lot about that. And so how do we lighten up and find a way to have some fun today? And honestly, what I find is that most of us, it kind of makes our day to make someone else's day. So we start to unpack that and we have a strategy behind that we teach inside the program. And really what it boils down to is that until you shift your energy from that place of regret and then coupled with insecurity and uncertainty to a place of hope and confidence and positive expectation and almost excitement, from there, any action that you take is infused with a completely different frequency that's frankly magnetic. And so this is the thing we see happen all the time. And it's like, oh my gosh. So first we want to stop and acknowledge it. Like, holy cow, a couple months ago, you were feeling in a slump. And now look at you today. You've got all this activity, but now we need to pump the brakes. Because if we can expect that in the next couple weeks, all 5 of these might be under contract at once, that's a lot for any one individual to have going all at once. So what's the natural sequence that follows? We go from having nothing under contract. We do this deep work to shift to a place of positivity. We seek ways to be of value. We have the impact. It creates the ripple effect. The conversations are happening. The leads are coming in. And now all of a sudden we're swimming in our own success. And if we don't slow down to, first of all, acknowledge it, be proud of yourself, because you have the evidence that if this has ever happened once, it can happen again. End of story. And if it can happen for one person, it can happen for another person, same thing. Okay. But now's the time to start planning for success. This is the key. We first have to expect it and believe it's possible before we have the evidence. But now we have the evidence. So with this evidence, before it completely sucks the life out of us and our pipeline dries up 2, 3 months from now, which what does that do? It just proves the fear right. So here we are at the threshold between things were slow. Now things are busy. I'm really grateful. I'm going to put all my attention into giving great customer service. I'm not going to have enough time or energy to keep the momentum going with loving on my people and doing all the outreach and bringing all the value because I don't have anyone to do that for me. And I frankly can't be in two places at once. And the most pressing demand on my time right now is handling these active listings and buyers. So I've got to give this my full attention. Of course, that is absolutely true. And because each transaction comes with it a lot more tasks, right? There's scheduling, there's coordinating, there's shopping for gifts, there's phone calls and emails and text messages and title companies and mortgage lenders and home inspectors and contractors. There's so much to do while you're giving this great customer experience that inevitably your pipeline will dry up. That is the threat. That is the threat that every single agent and lender faces when they have a pop in business. And the problem with this cycle that is the epidemic of our industry is that when it slows down, you're simply going to look at that and say, see, there's the evidence. This business is inconsistent. Who am I to hire people? Because if I hire people or implement systems when I'm slow, I'm in a state of fear because I don't have the business coming in. And if I wait until the business is coming in, I don't have the time to work on implementing the systems and hiring the help. So at what point do you step back from the nonsense and be a witness to this and say, oh my gosh, I see it clearly now. I have to make new decisions. And so that was yesterday inside of our academy call. And then today, I'm recording this on a Thursday afternoon. We had our collective call that meets every Tuesday, Thursday, and we were talking about this. And I could see all the heads nodding. And there's the fear is still there, right? Like we still, of course, have the hesitation of like, when do we hire the help and how do we find good talent? And what if it ruins our business? It's fear, fear, fear. And fear, as we've talked about, is full of crap. Fear is BS. It's imaginary. It's not to say that things can't go wrong, but things are already going wrong. Things are already going wrong if you've been on this seesaw for a while, because in neither end of the spectrum are you at peace. And that's all I want for people. And so we use this as a case study to say, okay, we see the momentum, like, whoa, that happened really fast. Like in less than 3 months, there are this many active transactions. So before I'm in the weeds, I'm going to start making new decisions. All that looks like is we earmark some of the funds. So let's say, for example, depending on what market you're in, depending on whether you're a real estate agent or a mortgage lender and what your splits are and what your overhead is and all the things, let's just say 5 closings could equal a total revenue of $60,000. So let's just break that down. So between now and 2 months from now, there could be $60,000 in revenue based on the evidence we have right in front of us. That sounds pretty good, right? And so then we think, okay, so if I were to split that into 2 months, that's $30,000 a month. That's $360,000 a year. And you can see people's eyes light up like, I've never considered that I could earn that level. I'm like, well, you can't earn that level unless you change the infrastructure of your business. Because I've not seen one individual on either side, mortgage or lending, make it to $250,000 a year and not be completely crumbling, burning out, and frankly, questioning everything. And sometimes even resenting the opportunities that are finding us. This is the epidemic, okay? If you've ever experienced this, you are not alone and you are not crazy. So we need to fix it. That's what we do here. We solve the problem. And so I say, well, could you survive if you only made $27,000 a month consistently? And everybody laughs. Like, yes, of course, right? That's still more than $300,000 a year, right? I'm like, okay. So what if we earmark 3,000 from the 30,000 into an account and we build a runway that we're going to utilize to buy yourself a life? That could look like a transaction coordinator that costs a couple $100 per closing. It could look like a virtual assistant who's already trained in transaction management or social media marketing. It could look like a part-time assistant a marketing assistant, an admin assistant, a full-time executive assistant. It can be however you want it to be. You can pay them commission so you don't have to commit to the overhead. But here's what I promise you. When we find rock stars, they change your life immediately. They never ever cost you because they start to open up access to possibilities you don't even give yourself permission to dream about because you are too overwhelmed as it is. And if you're listening to this and you've never been overwhelmed in this business and you think that sounds like a great problem to have, trust me, I would still encourage you to plan for your success because anyone who decides that they want to grow in this business and who's willing to get clear about who you want to serve and when you want to serve, and you prioritize your rest and you prioritize your energy, and you really get to know the people you want to serve in such a way that you find ways to be a resource to them, even when they don't need your services, that's what gets them talking about you behind your back, and your business will explode. It happens very quickly. It happens in every market. Like this case study I'm sharing with you is not a result of the market changing. Nothing changed in the market. Something changed inside of her. And we are now the witness to the byproduct of that shift, the way she started showing up, the way she started having fun. And the fact of the matter is, we see it all day, every day. It is so fun. And I can't stop talking about how fun it is because this literally fills my soul. So all that to say is, as you envision 2026, one simple challenge I have for you is ask yourself, what was the number? What's the income goal? Okay. And if that income goal is anything over, let's just say $150,000, in order for you to enjoy the journey, you're going to want to be planning for systems and support. What kind of systems and support and what budget you plan for is very unique to you. It's not a one size fits all. So we customize the approach based on who you are, your personality profile test, and we help you screen applicants that are a fit for you, a complement for who you are. And if you're of the mindset, and I were to say now double that number and you cringe, right there is the indication there's a story in your head that more means more of me. More abundance means more sacrifice, and that is a lie. More abundance means different rules. It means you have proof of concept because if you've ever crossed the $100,000 mark, you're already successful in this business, right? You're already earning more than most people could ever earn in any other job. So once we see that you've had the closings, we stop second guessing your true potential, because your true potential far exceeds what your limited mind could even begin to comprehend, because we've all exceeded our own expectations of our younger self. And so when we start to challenge the narrative that keeps you playing small, and then once we have a new narrative, we set new rules for the game, all of a sudden it is a game. Like all of a sudden you're actually having fun and you stop limiting yourself. Because you know what? Limiting yourself is a disservice to everyone in your life. Limiting you usually means you're settling, which means you're a little bit out of alignment. You might be overwhelmed. You might be exhausted. And the fact of the matter is, there are some amazing people out there that would love to be served by you, but you simply can't keep giving from an empty well. So if you are ready to expand with ease and joy, instead of being afraid of what it's going to cost you, I highly encourage you get in the room with us. This is the perfect time to do so. The momentum is ramping. The energy is contagious. We're having a blast. And honestly, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while and we aren't working together, I want to meet you and hang out with you. So I definitely want to connect. So hop over to Pursuing Freedom, check out the options under the training and consulting. You can jump right into the academy, jump right into the collective, or just shoot me a DM on Instagram at Pursuing Freedom Official. And while I have you, if you haven't left a review yet, I would implore you to please leave a review if you're enjoying this content, because it really does help us get this content found so we can help more people on the journey to building a life you don't need a vacation from. I love you. I appreciate you, and we will see you next time.